It's been a while since the last Mario Kart DLC released, and with Wave 5 on the horizon, there's no time like now to pick back up the trend and look at what Wave 4 brought to the fight. Seeing how the DLC has progressed over the last 4 updates, and what that could mean for the last 2. Throughout the DLC, the tour tracks have been hit or miss. All of them are essentially the same concept, so there has to be ways you can expand on them. The environment needs to be something that feels worth exploring to keep you engaged. I mean, that's the point of a tour, right? Given that most tracks take place in Europe, most tracks are boring. Biggest issue that they drove into was losing that freshness that made them exciting and unique at the start of the DLC. I said this last time about how they're becoming too similar. Sydney Sprint is a great example of a map that diversifies its layout. Wave 4 not only follows in these footsteps, but pushes it further, which is great, considering that they threw in an extra tour track. Initially, that was worrying, to see 3 tour maps. However, compared to what came before, these courses are more expansive with their themes, leading to more vibrant and fluid races.
Look at all the tours. Did you say Europe is small? There's a lot.
Europe does not have a lot going on, they just wrote more of the history books. They all offer up something new. Amsterdam, for example, has a different path for every lap, each with their own obstacles. This part reminds me of Moo Moo Farms. This one is underwater, which is something we haven't seen from the tour tracks, and this just makes me feel better. I actually like this track, despite it being Europe. Flying through the cities and bouncing off the tents are the things that make these tracks come alive. The only negative about having all these different routes is getting mixed up on the turns. Seeing the arrows a bit too late. The Wave 4 tour courses go out and try things they haven't before. You won't get bored. The DLC has scored with maps like Singapore, and for once, I'm excited to see more. But until then, we still have the rest of the cups to head towards. It seems like the Booster Course Pass has reset the intensity of the tracks a bit with additions like Mario Circuit. Wait, how many Mario Circuits are we gonna get? Both this one and Jurassic Park over here are simpler tracks, but they do come with their challenges in the form of enemies spread out across the map. Jurassic Park has piranha plant stalkers that run along the track. Look at them. No one can stop them. These guys are on either side of the road, and I actually like how they get in the way of you drifting. You have to be careful not to get tripped up. One comment I had about yet another Mario circuit was that it was too easy to just drift through. Mario DS, on the other hand, starts out pretty tame, but it has one feature that keeps you on your toes as the race goes on. Very similar to London Loop, once you get to the last lap, the game will place more enemies on the track. I need to stop rhyming. Can't tell you how many times I've been hit with a Wiggler jump scare. Also, you can kill the giant Goombas. Why don't they split in 2, though? Nintendo, fix this. These 2 may not be the most difficult compared to the ones from the previous cups, yet you still need to be aware. Wiggler, not getting too comfortable. It can be a little mind-numbing how fast you could breeze through some of these courses, so an extra challenge is always welcome. DK Summit? DK Summit has its spirit and liveliness from Wave 3, and the Shy Guys are just as annoying as I remember. This is the one from the wave I find myself going back to the most. It's so nice to finally go down DK Summit without motion controls. It's a perfect recreation, and although it doesn't feature any of the newer gimmicks, 95% of it does consist of half-pipes. Kinda surprised it didn't make it in the game sooner. The wait was worth it though. A track that does include the new features is Waluigi Stadium, another one I remember from the Wii. Overall, a solid recreation that does justice to the map. It is kinda lame that the piranha plants are just cutouts though. It messes with the aesthetic. A fair few of these tracks use them as obstacles, so why skip out here? This is where they should matter the most. Like I said, Waluigi Stadium includes one of the new features, that being anti-gravity, and how it's implemented is perfect. Waluigi Stadium follows a recent trend with the stages where they use the gimmicks in a looser way. Instead of overhauling a portion of the track, they quite literally add a new layer on top of the original. The map has heaps of half-pipes, and with certain ones, you could jump onto alternate anti-gravity routes. It's not a big change, but it updates the map in a way that doesn't detract from the layout that made the course memorable in the first place. But just because they aren't changing the tracks too much doesn't mean Wave 4 has no new experiences to offer. Yoshi's Island finally gets some love in the form of a brand new course. It's no longer just past tracks that are being added to the Deluxe DLC. Yeah, we're never getting Mario Kart 9. Yoshi's Island was unexpected, yet it fits right in with all the other courses. It gives me GBA vibes. Is Boshi on the coins?
What is Boshi?
Boshi is like a
That's
blue...
Yoshi that commits tax fraud?
No, that's regular Yoshi. The track has a modern vintage to it, balancing the newer of Mario Kart while feeling like it's been in the game forever. It's literally the most recent map, but it's as if I still need AV cables to play it. It's a relatively short track, but vast in the areas you traverse, and the Shy Guys are still annoying. From gliding off the clouds to underwater castles to even a secret shortcut at the end. Which is a nice touch that you have to hit the cloud in order to access it. I love when courses really make you earn your lead. More than usual. If this is the direction that the new tracks are heading, then the rest of the DLC Pass Course Booster Deluxe 8 Kart Mario It's looking pretty confident. They couldn't let me have it. However, as great as these tracks are, I gotta be honest about one thing. They didn't hit the same level of excitement as the last wave. That's what I was kind of getting at with DK Summit. I didn't really find myself going back to these cups as much as others. I mean, Jurassic Park! You can only do that so many times.
The Jurassic movies.
What? No!
What's their name? Brian something?
No! Coming off of Wave 3, it feels like the DLC has calmed down, taking a slower pace with Wave 4. Building off of what I said about Mario Circuit, there was a reset in how challenging the tracks are. And that makes sense as it seems to be following the usual scale of intensity. The way that the cups are organized in Mario Kart is that as you go from left to right, they get more difficult. That's the order you would unlock them in. But you know, because this is a 10-year-old port, you don't have to unlock them. So it's something that's easily forgettable. Not including the last 4 cups on the end though, because they come from DLC during the Wii U run, they're not a part of this scale. The Booster Course Pass seems to be keeping up this pattern as its simpler beginner tracks are populating the left, while the more complex and trickier courses fill up the right. The top row started with Toad Circuit and ended with Rainbow Road. Technically it started with Paris, but we're not gonna count Paris, right? That's not real. So it's reasonable to assume that since we got pretty straightforward tracks last update, Wave 6 will also have ones more like Rainbow Road to cap it off, ending 2023 on a high note in the same vein that Wave 3 left 2022. Less daring maps could also be why more is being added to the game than just the retro tracks, like custom items and original courses. New content can be a way to help keep momentum for the rest of the DLC. New content, such as 6 more characters joining the game! Starting off with the one and only Birdo, finally back on the track. Once again, we've gotten another major change to the game alongside the Booster Course Pass. At this point, I think the DLC is just an excuse to rework the game. This is Mario Kart 9. Birdo is another nice surprise, and their release alongside Yoshi's Island is top tier. Maybe it's just me, but Birdo has always been one of those characters that completes the Mario Party games. Similar to Funky Kong, Toad, Bowser Jr., just those smaller guys that make the roster more fun. Birdo even has different colors to choose from. Spectacular! Amazing, even! Because as a Toad fan, that's been a department they've been lacking in. Yeah, I see where the budget went. And given this amount of repetition that Deluxe has with its characters, this is a welcome step for the game. Now, with that step comes a whole new layer of speculation to the DLC. As I said in my last video on this, I'm done guessing what courses we'll see next because I feel like I have a pretty good track record that I don't want to ruin. However, seems like that record doesn't just stop at courses. Bit of a funny thing with Wave 5 almost here. Or here, is that they've gone ahead and revealed 3 of the 5 remaining racers. I actually managed to predict 2 of them. The 2 I predicted are Petey and Kamek, and the only way that I can prove it is with Discord chat logs. Despite the time of release, I started working on this video immediately after Wave 4 dropped. I just got caught up in other videos. March 21st, 2023. My notes on future characters talking about Petey and Kamek. So I have at least 2 correct predictions so far. Other than that, I am a Smash Bros fan, so I don't want to fall too much into speculation here, but I do have a couple oddballs I just kind of want to throw out there. Starting with Goomba. I've wanted Goomba ever since my brother made a joke about it when Mario Kart 8 first released. So a decade now. All I'm saying is that if he could be playable in Super Mario Party and compete in minigames such as Strike Harder, then clearly there is nothing stopping him from being in Mario Kart. People have been stomping Goombas since the very first Mario game. They are iconic. If Peach Gold Pink and Lakitu could get in, then Goomba has been snubbed long enough. Practically a face of the franchise, and yet reduced to a joke when it comes to Mario Kart. Like, what makes Koopa so special? The next character is R.O.B. Look, I know that I just said I'm a Smash Bros fan, so I'm surprised I'm suggesting him, but R.O.B. would be a monumental return for the franchise. Much like Petey, he is an unforgettable racer from his respective installment. He was the first third-party inclusion, and seeing how many non-Mario characters are in the game now, it's weird that he hasn't come back. A lot of people consider Mario Kart DS to be the best one, and if R.O.B. returns, then maybe they'll finally shut up. I mean, if DS is the best one, where's Funky Kong? Who would also be a stellar addition, but I've given up hope. Inclusions like Wiggler and Kamek make me think that they are trying to go for a wider range of characters, which is why I haven't given up on Goomba. However, the main theory out there is that because Tor has like 135 characters, one of them will just be ported. Someone like Pauline is almost a certainty as one of the last 2 fighters, but with how many racers are already glorified Peaches, I can't imagine it will be an exciting November when she's revealed. Yes, I am predicting the reveals themselves now. I guess like 10 tracks I need to elevate. Actually, I have one last track prediction. As we've discussed, it's very likely that Wave 6 will end with Rainbow Road, and with Nintendo making these brand new courses, I'm going to make a wild claim here, throwing out the idea that the final stage will be Rainbow Road from the Mario movie. I have nothing to back up my claim, except the fact that it would be really funny. Yeah, I'm gonna stop at that. But with all that being said, I have to go play Wave 5 and finish up those other videos I got caught up in, so thanks for watching. I know this video is a bit overdue, but these Mario Kart videos are like the only functioning series I have on my channel, so I wasn't just going to like skip over it. But now, I leave you with one last thing. The Kids' Choice Awards. I posted a community tab on whether or not I should vote for Elizabeth Olsen or Haley Steinfeld. Yeah, that doesn't have anything to do with Mario Kart. Yet.
Sorry, the only Italian I know is from Mario Kart.